So welcome back to Rephotography, and I thought I'd do something different this week, and as us Brits say, get out on my bike. And I'm here in the small village of Sionzier to add some more to my portfolio of past with the present images. This week's video, I want to look at the next stage in the preparation, which is preparing the present image. So let's jump into Lightroom now. So here we're going to go through the two tasks of selecting the present image and also the preparation of that image for the final merging process. And I'm going to show you one feature in Lightroom that I see very few photographers using, and I find it's extremely helpful during the selection process. So this is the reference image. This is the old image that I'm going to be working against, which actually comes from my hometown of Montville. Now when we look at the present images, the images that I took last week, so we have these 5 images here. As you can see, there's renovation work ongoing, so it appeared to create some challenges for me, but in fact it worked out fine for me, not an issue. So these are my images, and I need to select between those 5 as to which ones that I'm going to use. So let's go back and look at the old image. And so this is the function that I see very few people use. It's the second window option, which you find down here in the bottom left. You see the number 2. So press that and you'll see we get this. Select the normal mode. Now we need to go and lock that. If you don't lock it, then as you change picture and look at other images, then the second window changes. So we need to lock that and keep that. Now I'm going to go back and look at the raw images. So I'm going to reduce the size of this window. Now let's look at each one of these. And so the thing that I'm looking at here, when I look at the old image, things to look at. First of all, we can see here that the photographer was really positioned just about on the edge of the building. We can see the roof here, so we know he's not too far to the right. We can't see the windows on this side. So the photographer was just about level with the edge of the building. We can see the mountain in the background here, which just about intersects with the edge of the roof. Other things I'm looking at, the arch here. I can see the arch is coming around and just about intersects with the middle. Now, I could have also looked at these buildings here and how they move away from the position, but you can see here this is a new building, so it's not possible to compare the two. So in fact this option is already a pretty good option. If we go through, then the one that I select is actually this one. I can see there's just a slight gap here, but again, this may just be with the new building. So this is the one that I'm going to use here. Unfortunately, we can't see the arch here due to the sign, but that's not a problem because in my merged image, I'm going to keep the interest in the Café du Nord that we see here. So the bottom half of this will actually be this image rather than this image. So it's not a problem having this sign here. So we've selected the image. Now we need to go through the preparation process. So let's go into the develop module. Now I would say that there's a very good likelihood that it's not going to be a perfect alignment. It's extremely difficult to be in exactly the same position and have the optics aligning. But within Photoshop, we are able to do a lot of fine manipulation to compensate for that. So in the develop module, if you follow other photographers on here on YouTube, then the recommendation is always to start from the top and work down. That's exactly what I'm going to do. And as I mentioned in my last video, I'm a big fan of using the auto button. Again, those Adobe engineers, technicians, they're very smart people. So let's select auto. Now I'm not going to go through the color profiles here. I'm going to just select Adobe Landscape. Again, we're looking to create good contrast between the color image and the black and white image. I find Adobe Landscape gives me an excellent starting point. Now, one of the photographers that I've been following for years now, Serge Ramelli, a good French photographer, and his approach is drop the highlights, increase the shadows, and that's what I tend to do. I may look to add some clarity in there to restore some of the contrast, but another thing I want to do is to check the white balance. And so select the picker, and what we're looking for here, if you look at the RGB underneath that pointer, is to have a base round about 60. So I'm looking for some grey that's in the 60s. There we go. So select that, and in fact very little change there. So we can move on. I'm not going to add any vibrance. I think there's plenty of colour in this image. And in fact, the last thing I'm going to do is go all the way down and go into the transform. And again, use the auto button, and we can see the correction there. And in fact, that's it. We're ready now to go into Photoshop, and we're ready to merge those two images. That'll be in my next video. If you've enjoyed this video, if you found it beneficial, please give me a thumbs up, please subscribe, and I'd love to have you give me some comments, some feedback on what you find here. I'll be with you soon.